everyone, my name is Michael Ryan and I'm the creator of Pokémon Regions on Instagram and Twitter, where I share my Fakemon regions, the Fyrún Region and the new Fyrún Region. I am so excited for today's video. It's going to be my biggest one yet. I'm not only introducing the Fyrún Region's starter Pokemon's final stages for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, but I am also going to be finally introducing the Fyrún Region's new mechanic, which I've been hyping up for a long time. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, you need to go in with an open mind because it is different, as I feel a new mechanic should be, because a new mechanic is supposed to change the game and how we play or look at it. Mega Evolution, Dynamax, Z-moves, all of that changed the Pokemon franchise in big ways and really challenged our gaming experience as well as the lure of the Pokemon world. Anyways, let's go into the starters first and then we'll swoop back around to the new mechanic. I once again worked with the talented Fungi Fakemon on all of these designs. He's my birthday twin, we share the same birthday, and a good friend. He's been really busy over the last couple months working on an art internship actually. Super talented. I'm so glad and grateful that he was able to carve out time from his busy schedule to work with me on these. Once again, spent a lot of time on them to get them just right. They went through a lot of changes and iterations, and I could not be happier with how they turned out. I know I shared them on Instagram this last week, and so far the feedback has been great. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support, and I'm so glad you guys like them. Thank you so much, Fungi. We did it. First up, we have Berserker, the Berserk Pokemon. Berserker are overly protective of their territory as they draw strength from nature. While they are actually gentle giants, when provoked or engaged in battle, Berserker lose control as they fight in a trance-like fury, with claws strong enough to tear through steel. Inspired by bears and Norse berserkers, berserkers are violent Norse warriors that were said to be uncontrollable and overly violent, and fight in a trance-like fury. Berserkers are said to have worn bear pelts into battle, at least that's how they're often depicted. Berserker's grassy fur pelt further resembles the bear pelts worn by Berserkers, hinted by the grass pelt in its predecessor, Shrubjorn's design. Berserker has also gained the dark typing to match its darker color scheme and violent nature. While it definitely looks scary or like a Pokemon you wouldn't want to mess with or encounter in a dark cave or forest, it also is important that it still looked like it could be your friend, as that is the principle at the heart of all Pokemon designs. I wanted the berry line to get progressively darker each stage, knowing it would eventually become a dark type in its final stage, and end up going from brown to black. The line underwent the least amount of changes of the three, as I made some slight tweaks to the colors in the design to simplify it and make certain features stand out more. Following the grass starter's theme of a prehistoric or extinct animal, it is a bear, as there are a couple of species of extinct bears, such as the cave bear or the Atlas bear, that it could be linked to. Next up, we have Hesselder, the 8-legged Pokemon. I know what you're thinking. What are you talking about? It only has 4 legs. But listen carefully and all will be explained. Hesselder's beautiful, fiery white mane is harmless to most, but if it desires, it can be used to engulf its adversaries in a silent inferno. The 4 orbs circling its body are its 4 phantom limbs that can still be called upon in battle or to gallop into the afterlife. Its name comes from a combination of the word Hestur, the Icelandic word for horse, and Elder, the Norse word for burn. Inspired by Icelandic horses and Sleipnir, Odin's 8-legged horse from Norse mythology, which he'd ride to hell. It has gained the ghost typing since evolving as a nod to this, and hinted at by the emo look and darker color in its predecessor, Brené's design, but instead of making it look spooky, I decided to go a different route and make Hesselder look more majestic. I originally planned to actually give it 8 legs to further resemble Sleipnir, but as I often say, less is usually more for Pokemon designs, as the most iconic designs are usually simplistic. So after much experimentation, I decided it was best to avoid the 8 legs altogether. So I decided it could still have them incorporated into its lure and dex entry by making 4 ghostly orbs that it can absorb back into its body and transform into 4 extra phantom legs. I also feel this approach is a lot more creative and along the lines of something Pokemon would actually do. Its beautiful flowing white hair not only resembles phantoms, but smoke and fire as well. Hesselder's white mane was foreshadowed by the white streaks in Brené's design. Hesselder has a lot less orange in its design than its pre-evolutions, as its body is now a gorgeous crimson red, which really pops alongside the white. I know we already have Fire Horse Pokemon in Ponyta and Rapidash, but Hesselder is a horse going by the Fire Starter's supposed theme of following the Chinese zodiac, so by that logic, a Fire Horse Starter is inevitable. Last, but not least, we have Vicrab, the Viking Crab Pokemon. Vicrab command the seas with their razor-sharp claws and sturdy armored shells. Feared by most Pokemon for their fierce battle tactics, they always fight with a deep sense of dignity and respect. Vicrab is inspired by, well, You guessed it, Viking and crabs. It has gained the fighting type since evolving, and since Vikings are seafaring warriors, I thought the water fighting typing couldn't fit it better. I'm sure some of you are probably wondering why it's not a water steel type, but there's a variety of reasons for that. Number 1 being I think fighting is just as fitting of the concept and design. And number 2 being that Water Starter Empoleon was already a steel type. Not that that matters, but I was more interested in giving it a new typing that hasn't been occupied by a water starter before. And number 3, if you haven't noticed, there's kind of a reverse dynamic between the secondary types of the starter trio, with Dark beating Ghost type being immune to the Fighting type, and Fighting type beating the Dark type. Also, if you look closely at designs like Comfey or Florges who feature flowers throughout their designs, yet don't have the grass typing, or Pokemon like Incineroar, who is a Fire Dark type, but could have just as easily been a fire fighting type given its bipedal and its design is heavily inspired by wrestlers, many people were actually worried it would be another fighting type for this very reason when it was originally leaked. However, thankfully it wasn't. Anyways, my point is you can't judge a book by its cover. Pokemon typings aren't always black and white, and I personally felt the fighting typing was a better fit. Vicrab's shell now resembles Viking armor, and its pincers resemble axes to follow the Viking motif and Water Starter's supposed weapon theme. It even has a foam or bubble beard, and the traditional Viking helmet hinted at in its pre-evolution Nauticlaws design. Like the other final stages, its colors are darker than its pre-evolutions, but once again calls back to the colors in its previous stages, as the blues in its design were pulled straight from Crabub and Nauticlaws design. It's also important to note that Crabub's design was really round like bubbles, while its evolutions design get progressively sharper and have more edges as they evolve. Like Hysseldor, this design underwent a lot of changes before I felt we really got it right, but I couldn't be happier with the final results. The shared theme of the starter trio isn't just their connections to Norse culture, but battle and war, as if you look closely you'll see they all share a scar mark in their designs, as a nod to this and to further connect them to one another. If you like these designs, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Micamon_regions to learn more about these Pokemon's signature moves, movesets, stats, hidden abilities, and to see their sprites and shinies as well. Okay, now here comes the moment you've all been waiting for, the new mechanic for the Fyrún region. Introducing Forge Forms, the ancient phenomenon that has resurfaced in the Fyrún region as the war between Team Brain and Team Brawn rages on. Using the divine power of the Battle Bracer, trainers can transform select Pokemon into magical living weapons known as Forge Forms, and join the fight. While active in battle, the trainer adopts the new sharpened stats and previously known moves and ability of the Pokemon they are wielding, along with an additional weapon type bonus and finisher attack unique to each Forge Form. The weapon type determines an additional effect replacing the Mon's held item, as they are now your held item. While these powerful finisher attacks have the power to overthrow the strongest of adversaries, they can only be used by acquiring enough Forge Force. Forge Force is acquired each time you deal damage, and is depleted either after taking a significant amount of damage or using your finisher move. Wielding a Forge Form and personally stepping into a Pokemon battle isn't without consequences, as it is very dangerous. Once wielding a Forge Form, you become part of your party, and even if you send out another Pokemon in your place, that transformed Pokemon cannot revert back to its original form until after the battle, meaning you're stuck in the battle until it's over. Furthermore, if you faint while holding a Forge Form weapon, you automatically lose the battle. Fortunately, the fighting spirit of the Pokemon you're wielding also protects you while active in battle through a magical force known as Aura Armor, which reduces damage from attacks by using Forge Force. However, it doesn't protect from the attacks dealt by other Forge Form weapons. There will be various weapon types, each with their own added advantage. The mechanic is inspired by Viking weapons, as well as the various magical weapons from Norse mythology and Iceland's Poetic Edda. It's also inspired by one of my favorite animes, Soul Eater, where people turn into living weapons that their companions use to battle. I commissioned my BFF, Trainer Mats, for this gorgeous artwork and to tackle all of the Forge Form designs with me. I know if anyone could help me pull this off, it would be him, and as usual, he didn't let me down. Thanks, Mats. I had a lot of fun working with you on these designs, and I can't wait to do more in the future. Now, I know a lot of you may be skeptical of the mechanic, as it is different, but I think different is good. I mean, you can't make a difference without being different, am I right? And I think something like this is exactly what the Pokemon franchise needs to breathe new life into it. Looking at past mechanics like Mega Evolution, Dynamax, Z-Moves, all of that challenged the franchise in big ways as well. Looking at all the risks being taken by Pokemon's Legend Arceus, especially its more realistic and mature approach, with Pokemon now capable of attacking trainers and even making the trainer faint. And something similar to this has actually already been done in a Pokemon manga known as Pokemon Reversed, where Pokemon trainers fuse with their Pokemon and enter the battle. So if you're worried about a trainer attacking a Pokemon with a weapon such as an axe, I promise you're overthinking it. I think a lot of people forget that the entire concept of Pokemon is already problematic as it is, since it's pretty much just glorified dogfighting. Pokemon in general also isn't very realistic, nor is it supposed to be, oftentimes forcing us to suspend disbelief and all sense of realism. I mean, if you think about it, this is really the case for many animes and video games. You have Pokemon whose body parts are already literal weapons like Scyther, Cleaver, Bisharp, and Honedge, once again who are apparently capable of attacking Pokemon trainers or other Pokemon without cutting off a limb or killing them. Many Pokemon moves like Leaf Blade, Rock Tomb, Fire Blast, and many more would realistically kill Pokemon, but they just walk it off like nothing happened. Tell me, how does a tiny Joltik not realistically get splattered by a Snorlax's body slam? How does an Electrode put itself together after using Explosion? Not to mention, every other RPG including family-friendly ones like Legend of Zelda, the Xenoblade Chronicles, Final Fantasy, have people using a variety of magical weapons to battle magical creatures like Pokemon. This would be no different than that. It's basically anime logic. Or at least no crazier than the flawed logic Pokemon already seems to follow. But honestly, that's part of its charm. It's a work of fiction, and we all play games like Pokemon to escape reality. I'm just taking the more mature approach of Pokemon's Legends Arceus and expanding upon it in a way I think perfectly fits the Fyrún Region's story as well as its Norse and Viking inspirations. The starter trio's forge forms are all inspired by different types of axes. Berserker, for example, is modeled after a double-edged battle axe, incorporating its big claws and leafy pelt, whereas Hysseldur's is modeled after a hammer axe with its fiery mane and one of its hoofs being incorporated into its design, and Vicrab's, which is modeled after a traditional Viking axe with its crab claw and bubble beard being featured in the design. Ilruz's forge form is inspired by Loki's magical weapon, which was introduced in the Icelandic Poetic Edda and has been depicted many different ways, such as a wand, sword, and dagger, so I decided to take inspirations from both a dagger and a wand. It also slightly resembles the MCU version of Loki's scepter from the first Avengers film, but with a more curved design to fit Ilruz's serpent-like body. Stormer's forge form is inspired by his iconic hammer, also featured in the Icelandic Poetic Edda, and prevalent throughout Norse mythology. This version of the hammer incorporates Stormer's goat-like features and cloud-like wool. There'll be many different weapon types and designs as I continue to introduce more forge forms for the region, with almost 30 in total by the end of the journey, for both new Pokemon native to the Fyrún region and a handful of classic Pokemon as well. So which Pokemon will be your secret weapon in the Fyrún region? Well, there you have it. I really hope you enjoyed these final stages and the new Forge Form mechanic. I can't wait to hear what you think. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. Make sure to hit the notification bell and subscribe to my channel for more content. I am so excited to introduce more Fyrún Pokemon and more Forge Forms and dive into what those really are all about. And I really hope you guys stick around because it's going to be a wild ride.